Hello students, I am teacher Svetlana and in our today's lecture, we will learn about the regulation of breathing, common disorders of the respiratory system, transportation in living organisms, which is covered in the chapter Respiration and Circulation. So let's begin. Now students, let us have a look at the regulation of breathing. Respiration is under dual control. You have the nervous and chemical control. Human adults breathe about 12 times per minute, while a newborn about 44 times per minute. Normal breathing is an involuntary process. Steady rate of respiration is controlled by neurons located in the pons and the medulla, obviously of your brain, and are known as the respiratory centers. It regulates the rate and depth of the breathing. It is divided into three groups. Dorsal group of neurons in the medulla, that is the inspiratory center, ventrolateral group of neurons in the medulla, which is your inspiratory and expiratory center, and the pneumothorax center located in the pons. Primarily limits inspiration, slow wave sleep, and rapid eye movement sleep. A mnemotic center in the medulla is antagonistic to the pneumothoracic center. That is, it has just the opposite function. That is, it controls non-rapid eye movements, sleep, and wakefulness. Students, have a look at this image here. It is a diagrammatic representation of the regulation of breathing. Shows how the coordination takes place. Here, this is your brain. This is the region of your brain, which is the pons and the medulla. These are called as the breathing control centers. Then this is your heart. There is the O2 sensors in the arteries. Now, what are these centers doing? You have sensors. You have your CO2 increases in the blood. It acts directly, and then this shows that the nerve impulse from the O2 sensors indicating that the level of oxygen has decreased. So when these indicators reach the brain, the nerve impulse are triggered, and what do they control? One of it controls your contractions of the muscles. This is your intercostal muscle. This is the phrenic nerves. Now these are controlling the contraction of your muscles here, the diaphragms, the intercostal muscles. So this is how it is coordinated for the process of your breathing. Now let us try to understand what happens during breathing. Now students, during inspiration, when you're breathing in air, the lungs expand to a critical point. The stretch receptors are stimulated and impulses are sent along the vagus nerves to the expiratory center. It then sends out inhibitory impulses to the inspiratory center. So basically, when you are breathing in air, when the lungs expand to a critical point, then you have the impulse that is sent for the inhibition of inspiration. That is, so that you won't breathe in more air and the process is stopped and you start the process of expiration. So then the inspiratory muscles relax and expiration is followed. As the air leaves the lungs during expiration, the lungs are deflattened and the stretch receptors are no longer stimulated. Thus, the inspiratory center is no longer inhibited and a new respiration begins. This event is called as the Hering-Bewer's reflex. The Hering-Bewer's reflex controls the depth and the rhythm of our respiration. It also prevents lungs from inflating to a point of bursting. The respiratory center has connections with the cerebral cortex, which means we can voluntarily change our pattern of breathing. Voluntary control is protective because it enables us to prevent water or irritating gases from entering the lungs. But the ability to stop breathing is also limited by the buildup of the carbon dioxide in the blood. Now students, let us have a look at the common disorders of our respiratory system. This given table shows a list of some common respiratory disorders, their symptoms, their cause, and the treatment. Let us have a look at some of these. We have emphysema, which is the breakdown of the alveoli, shortening of the breath. These are the symptoms to it. Cause is smoking, air pollution. Treatment: quit smoking, avoid polluted air, administer oxygen to relieve symptoms. Then we have chronic bronchitis. Here the symptoms are coughing, shortness of breath. The cause is again smoke and air pollution. So you have to quit smoking as part of the treatment, avoid polluted air if possible, move to warmer, drier climate. Then we have acute bronchitis. Here the symptoms are inflammation of the bronchi, shortness of the breath, yellow mucus, coughed up. The cause is viruses and bacteria. Now, treatment: if it is bacterial, take antibiotics, cough medicines, use vaporizers. Then we have sinusitis, where the symptoms are inflammation of the sinus and mucus discharge. Again, the cause is viruses and bacteria. If bacterial, we got to take antibiotics, and decongestants, use vaporizers. Then we have laryngitis, which is the inflammation of the larynx, vocal cords. There is sore throat, hoarseness of the voice, mucus built up, and cough. What are the causes? Again, it is caused due to viruses and bacteria. Treatment: if it is bacterial, take antibiotics, cough medicines, voice rest, avoid irritants like smoke. Then we have the next disorder, which is very common, that is pneumonia. Symptoms: inflammation of the lungs ranging from mild to severe, cough and fever, shortness of the breath, chills, sweating, chest pain, blood in the mucus. The causes are bacteria or viruses. Treatment: consult physician immediately, antibiotics, cough medicine, stay warm. The next one is asthma, constriction of the bronchial mucus built up in the bronchioles, periodic wheezing, difficulty in breathing. Now, causes: allergy to pollens, some foods, food additives, pet hair, etc. Treatment is use of inhalants to open the passageways, avoid irritants. Then we have something called as occupational respiratory disorders. That is, these are disorders which are associated to a person's profession, where if the person is repeatedly exposed to one of the causative agent, the person might end up getting this disorders. Examples of disorders are silicosis, asbestosis. So symptoms are inflammation of the fibrosis, lung damages. Now, what is the cause? Long-term exposure to dust particles like silica and asbestos particles during occupation. So, the treatment is protective mask and gear during work. So, these are the most common respiratory disorders that are encountered. Now, students, let us have a look at the transportation in living organisms. Students, all living organisms, whether unicellular or multicellular, show an important property of exchange of material with their surrounding as well as between the various parts of their cell or body. Organisms take up oxygen and nutrients from the surrounding. These are circulated within the body for various metabolic activities. The waste that they generate within it are given out in the surrounding. So, students, transportation in organisms and animals occurs by diffusion and by active transport between the cells. This mechanism is suitable whether the surface area of the body is large and the distance between the parts of the body in the organisms is extremely small. Cyclosis is the streaming movement of the cytoplasm shown by almost all living organisms. We have example of paramecium, amoeba, root hair cells of many plants, and WBCs in animals. Have a look at this image here. The protozoans, amoeba, paramecium, they have contractive vacuoles to remove waste, or diffusion is the another way with which they remove waste carbon dioxide from the cell. This is how the respiration of amoeba takes place. You can see oxygen is taken in, carbon dioxide is given out. Simple exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide which occurs through the plasma membrane, and this occurs through simple diffusion. It is for transportation within the cells or for intracellular transport. In sponges and colintrates, the surrounding water is circulated through the body cavities. Then in flatworms, there is parenchymal circulation. In roundworms, there are no blood vessels and the body fluid is moved around the viscera by contraction of the body wall and the muscles. So in roundworms, no blood vessels are there and the blood fluid moves around their internal body by contraction of the body walls and muscles. This is an extracellular transport. So this is how the transportation of gases takes place in different living organisms. Thank you students for participating in this lecture. See you soon again with the next topic. Till then, take care, be safe and keep learning.